What if the version of you you've been striving to become isn't somewhere out there in the future, but already exists within you, whole, radiant, and quietly waiting for you to remember? What if all your efforts to fix yourself, to achieve more, to become better, are based on a fundamental illusion that you are lacking, that you are incomplete, that something essential is missing? This belief isn't just exhausting, it's energetically misaligned with the truth of your being. You've been taught to chase after goals, to improve endlessly, to sculpt your identity like clay, believing that transformation is an external accomplishment. But here's the quantum paradox. Transformation isn't about becoming, it's about returning. Beneath all the layers of programming, trauma, expectation, and cultural hypnosis, there's a version of you that already knows. A version that doesn't need permission, proof, or perfection to exist. This isn't spiritual fluff. It's quantum mechanics and neurobiology catching up with ancient mysticism. Your identity is not a construction project, it's a resonance. And the reason you feel burned out or disconnected isn't because you haven't tried hard enough. It's because you've been trying to become someone you already are. In the quantum field, every potential version of you already exists, vibrating at its own frequency, waiting for your conscious alignment. You're not broken. You're broadcasting, and the only thing separating you from the version of you that feels whole, free, and at peace is the signal you've been tuned into. What if the real work isn't to do more, but to undo? What if remembering is more powerful than achieving? This video isn't another push to climb higher, it's an invitation to sink deeper into the field of your true self. Because you don't need to become someone, you just need to remember who you are. And once you do, the universe remembers too. You were never meant to hustle your way into wholeness. You were meant to remember into alignment. In ancient texts, sages whispered that enlightenment isn't attained, it's unveiled. Hidden beneath the noise of daily life, beneath the mental scripts and survival reflexes, lies your original frequency, pure, powerful, precise. Modern neuroscience agrees. Over 95% of your thoughts today are recycled from yesterday, meaning most people don't live new lives, they rehearse old versions of themselves. That's not free will, that's memorized identity. And yet, the quantum field doesn't care about your past. It cares about your signal. In every moment, it's listening to your vibration, not your words, not your to-do lists, but the frequency of your being. When you broadcast lack, you collapse timelines that confirm it. But when you remember your worth, when you feel it in your cells before the world gives you proof, you begin to distort the loop. You start bending reality not by force, but by resonance. Think of this. Every reality you've ever desired already exists in the field. It's not a matter of if, but a frequency match. That's why most people feel stuck, not because their dream is impossible, but because their signal is inconsistent. They want abundance, but broadcast scarcity. They want love, but broadcast unworthiness. The key isn't doing more, it's remembering deeper. The timeline you want doesn't need more hustle, it needs more coherence. So what if instead of chasing transformation, you became still enough to receive remembrance? Because your next level isn't something you build, it's something you reclaim. There's a silent ache that lives beneath the surface of modern life. A low hum of disconnection that no affirmation, no productivity hack, no external success seems to quiet. You feel it when you wake up and the first thing you sense isn't clarity, but a fog of pressure. You feel it in moments of stillness, when you should feel peace, but instead hear the whispers of self-doubt, the echoes of, "I'm behind, I'm not enough, I need to catch up." It's not that you haven't tried. You've read the books, taken the courses, journaled your intentions, visualized your dream life. But still, something feels missing. As if there's a glass wall between you and the version of you that truly feels free. That's not failure, that's feedback. Feedback from your nervous system, from the subconscious code still looping in the background, still projecting a reality that matches your old self. You're not broken, you're misaligned. You've been trying to access a new timeline with the emotions of your old one. That's like trying to tune into a new station while clinging to static. The real pain isn't in what you haven't manifested. It's in constantly feeling like your transformation is just out of reach, no matter how hard you try. But here's the shift. The field doesn't respond to trying harder. It responds to coherence. And coherence doesn't come from effort, it comes from remembering. In the next part, we're not going to chase clarity, we're going to restore it from within, because the pain you feel isn't proof that you're far, it's proof that your signal is ready to change. Focus is not just attention, it's activation. Every time you fixate on something with emotion, you are sending an energetic blueprint into the quantum field. And the field, precise and impartial, responds not to what you hope for, but to what you repeatedly tune into. This is why most people feel stuck. They keep doing the work, but focusing through the frequency of fear, lack, and waiting. You visualize abundance, but check your bank account with dread. You affirm love, but look in the mirror through a lens of criticism. That contradiction creates interference, and interference blocks coherence. Think of focus like a radio dial. When you're tuned into static, all you receive is noise, no matter how beautiful the song on the other station is. Your focus is not innocent. It is a transmitter, constantly selecting a version of reality from infinite possibilities and pulling it into form. The mistake most people make is believing that they can shift their life while still observing it through the eyes of their old identity. But the field doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are being. That's why the loop continues, no matter how hard you think, or journal, or pray. Because if your focus is still tethered to the vibration of not yet, then not yet is the reality that solidifies. Here's the power you didn't know you had. The moment you focus from a place of embodiment, from the energy of "it's already done," the field begins to reorganize. It bends not because you demanded it, but because you matched it. Your reality doesn't change because you chase it. It changes because you become it. That's the secret behind quantum alignment. And the shift begins not with your circumstances, but with the way you observe them. The observer effect isn't just a strange quirk in quantum physics. It's the code behind all transformation. In the quantum realm, particles do not exist in a definite state until they are observed. They live in pure potential, formless, undefined, vibrating as probability. But the moment an observer enters the scene, that wave of possibility collapses into something measurable. This isn't metaphor, it's mechanics. Now imagine this. What if your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are the observers collapsing your life into patterns you never consciously chose? What if every judgment, every assumption, every memory you unconsciously rehearse is acting like an observer, locking you into a version of yourself that no longer aligns? That's not destiny, that's programming. The good news? It can be recoded. The power isn't in trying to force new outcomes, it's in observing from a new state of being. When you observe your life from fear, the field says confirmed and collapses a timeline that matches. When you observe from gratitude, certainty, embodiment, the field says confirmed and aligns accordingly. The shift begins not when you try to fix your reality, but when you observe it as already aligned, even before the evidence shows up. That's why awareness is everything. Noticing where your focus goes when you're on autopilot, when you're scrolling your phone, when you wake up and feel that rush of anxiety. Those moments reveal your default observer, the one selecting timelines on repeat. The path to shift isn't to fight that observer, it's to replace it. And the most powerful replacement is the version of you who already is, already healed, already thriving, already at peace. When you begin to observe from their eyes, not yours, timelines collapse. Possibility becomes presence. Reality bends. You don't shift your life by effort. You shift it by shifting the observer. The observer is not just your eyes. It's your identity, your emotional set point, your unconscious expectations about what life will deliver. And here's the breakthrough most people miss. Your current observer is not fixed. It's a habit.
A neural pattern rehearsed so many times it feels like truth. But identity is fluid. It's programmable. Every time you say, "This is just how I am," you're reinforcing the observer that created your current timeline.
But what if you pause that loop, just for a moment, and asked, who is observing right now? What version of me is interpreting this event, this message, this mirror? Is it the part of me that's still afraid, still trying, still hoping? Or is it the version of me who already lives the life I've been dreaming about? That simple question can interrupt decades of unconscious collapse. And here's the practice. Close your eyes and see that version of you, the one who already feels free, magnetic, expansive. How do they breathe? How do they move? What thoughts do they no longer entertain? Now, open your eyes, but keep their perspective. Walk through your space with their lens. Check your phone, talk to your partner, look at your bank account, but from their state. This isn't pretending. It's precision, because that version of you already exists in the field. And when you observe life through their identity, you start to collapse their reality. Anchoring a new frequency isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Anyone can feel empowered for a moment after a meditation or a breakthrough video. But what happens when the old emotions return? When your nervous system tries to pull you back into familiar fear, lack, or doubt? That's the real initiation, not whether you can reach a higher state, but whether you can stabilize in it. Here's what most people get wrong. They wait until the external world changes to feel different inside. But in the quantum, it's the internal coherence that comes first. And coherence is a habit, one you train, one you install. You don't have to fight the old emotion. You just have to remember the signal of your future self, again and again, until it becomes your default vibration. Here's a simple but powerful method, the focus loop. Morning, before you touch your phone, ask, what reality am I choosing to observe today? Set the tone. Midday, when the old feelings rise, pause and say, I return to the version of me I'm becoming. Anchor back. Evening, before sleep, replay moments you observed life differently, even just for a second. Let that vibration settle into your system. The more you loop this awareness, the more your nervous system learns a new baseline. And once that baseline stabilizes, you don't just attract a new reality, you start living it without effort. That's the shift from manifestation to embodiment. You stop waiting, you stop reaching, you become the signal. And reality has no choice but to reflect that. This is the secret of quantum alignment. It's not about intensity, it's about frequency match over time. Quantum embodiment is not a performance. It's a remembering so complete that your nervous system stops resisting it. When you stabilize in the frequency of your highest self long enough, something profound happens. You stop seeking signs, you stop checking for progress, and most of all, you stop needing. Why? Because you've shifted from trying to manifest to being the embodiment of what's already true in the field. In this state, your reality doesn't just gradually improve, it reorganizes. Opportunities find you, people resonate with you, synchronicities stack in ways your logical mind could never plan. And it's not because you're doing more, it's because you've become vibrationally undeniable. This is the state the mystics spoke of, the flow scientists try to measure, the alignment that doesn't require affirmation, because your field has become the declaration. But let's be real. This doesn't happen because of one big moment. It happens because you've trained your system to feel safe in expansion. Most people sabotage their quantum leap not because they're not ready, but because their body still associates joy, love, and abundance with danger. That's why when things start improving, they panic. That's why after a breakthrough, they self-sabotage. It's not failure, it's a mismatch between frequency and nervous system memory. But here's the fix. When you feel the expansion, stay in it longer than feels comfortable. Breathe into it. Let your system realize, I'm allowed to feel this. I'm safe in this. That's how quantum embodiment stabilizes, not with drama, but with devotion. And when the shift locks in, the universe no longer needs to test you. It begins to respond to you like you're already there, because you are. Reality isn't static, it's programmable. And your electromagnetic field is the code. Every thought, emotion, and posture you carry emits a frequency into the quantum matrix, and that field, impartial, intelligent, exact, reorganizes the probabilities around you based on one thing, your consistency. That's why you don't get what you want, you get what you're in coherence with. The real question isn't, how do I manifest more? It's, what is my field broadcasting on repeat? Here's the science behind the mysticism. Your heart emits an electromagnetic signal up to 5,000 times more powerful than your brain. When your heart and thoughts are in contradiction, the field receives a scrambled message. But when they're aligned, you become magnetic. Not metaphorically, literally. You start to collapse timelines that match your new coherence, and people will say, it came out of nowhere. But nothing comes out of nowhere. It came out of you. You reprogram reality not by pushing, but by repatterning your internal field. This means more than mindset. It means regulating your body, healing the trauma that says abundance isn't safe, rewriting the memory that says joy is temporary. The moment your body no longer flinches at expansion, your timeline accelerates. And the field? It listens. It always has. But now, instead of mirroring your doubts, it mirrors your essence. This is how reality bends, not because you forced it, but because you became the proof it was waiting to reflect. You're not attracting from a place of need, you're receiving from a place of identity. This is the moment where everything converges, the science, the soul, the field, and you. You don't need more proof. You don't need another technique. You felt it deep in your chest, that resonance, that inner alignment, that unmistakable knowing that the version of you you've been seeking was never ahead of you. They were always inside you. Right here, right now. All that's left is remembrance. The more you live from this frequency, the less you have to chase. Because the field no longer responds to your words, it responds to your being. So take a breath. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your timeline settle. You're not late. You're right on time. The moment you decide that your current vibration is already enough, already whole, already in tune with the life you used to hope for, that's the moment the universe meets you, because you've stopped broadcasting I need and started radiating I am. And now, you're not just watching content, you're shifting your code. And if something in you feels it, even subtly, let that be your confirmation. You are the signal, and this is your return. If this video stirred something in you, if it helped you remember even for a moment the power you carry, then don't keep it to yourself. Hit like, because that action reinforces the energy you're anchoring. Share this with someone else who's ready to shift. And if you want to stay connected, not just to more insights, but to a field, a growing vortex of coherence, remembrance, and transformation, hit subscribe, because this isn't just a channel, it's a frequency, and you're already tuned in.